Good morning, traders. Today is Friday, July 1st. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. All right, well, I decided to start today zoomed out a little bit just to give myself some context about what's going on in the markets, right? We've had a bear market, and we had a massive sell-off, okay, that came down here. It balanced for a few days. Then they tried to take the market lower. They couldn't do it, so they came back up. They balanced again. And then they tried to take the market higher. They couldn't do it, so they pulled back in. And what do you suspect I'm about to say? They're probably going to want to balance again, right? We've now had a 3-day long downtrend in the market. We've had value lower or overlapping to lower. I guess overlapping to lower 3 days in a row. You know, a trend can keep going as long as a trend wants to keep going. But usually after 3 days or so, we're looking for a day of balance. And I know what you're thinking, Charles, the last 2 days were balanced. The last 2 days were rotational days. That's why I'm talking about this, not as an intraday concept, but as a larger, like on the daily concept. That intraday, yes, we rotated the last 2 days. But on a bigger time frame, we were actually taking the market lower. We were making lower highs and lower lows and bringing value down with a trend. Okay, so even though it felt like we've been rotational the last few days, we've actually still, on the bigger time frame, we've been trending lower. Okay, so the highest probability in my mind for today is something that looks very similar to the overnight, kind of rotating around inside this previous balance area. As far as what to look for if the market is going to make a move outside of this area, getting above the overnight high or below the overnight low would be the first thing we would look for. So can the market get above the overnight high? If it finds support up there, we got some weak references we left behind yesterday, so those would become the targets to the upside. And if we get below the overnight low, that gap that we left behind on the 17th, down at 37.12 becomes a target. But in between, I would just say pretty much look at the areas where the most volume and the most time was spent yesterday and in the overnight and expect support resistance in those areas, okay? And chop as the market grinds up and down. We opened inside the previous day's range, which increases the odds of chop first thing here in the morning. The overnight inventory was net short, but we just got the counter auction, literally right back to yesterday's close. So now the overnight inventory is neutral, and let's see where they want to take the market. Again, getting above the overnight high at 37.95 and finding support up there would target a repair of the first week reference at 38.06, left over from yesterday. But I would certainly want to wait and see that support as we're expecting chop, and there's a lot of resistance right here. So they may poke above and come right back down. Here we go, chop suey. Okay, first potential support to the downside is going to be somewhere around 37.74. Looking for some more choppity chop chop. Let's jump over and take a quick look at the Q. So it's not quite as clean a read with the Q, but it is the same thing. Tried to take the market lower, came back up, balanced, tried to take the market higher, came back down, increasing the odds of balance. Exactly the same as with the ES. Use the overnight high and low as the deal or no deal level for a breakout one direction or another. And definitely wait for support on the high before you would consider going long, because there's a lot of resistance here. A lot of resistance above the Q. As far as looking at the daily here, because this is a previous balance over here, if the market can get above that overnight high and start heading up to repair that weakness yesterday, it could be the beginning of an attempt to head back up looking for resistance. But obviously, the buyers have a lot to prove before we think about that, as the overall market sentiment is bearish. But if they were going to do that, these wicks would be the start. So let's see what happens here today. Okay, looking for some support here around 75. Right back through the open. The chop continues. Happy 4th of July weekend to all the Americans out there. If anybody's been waiting for a chance to buy the e-course, this is your opportunity. This weekend only. Use the coupon code USA as you check out and you get 30% off. You guys know I only do these discounts once or twice a year, so don't miss your chance. Also, if you join the brigade, you can get an additional 10% off, which, by the way, is more than $10 what it costs to join the brigade. So I'm just throwing that out there. It's the beginning of a new month. Could be the beginning of a new you. A you that's a member of the brigade. Just saying. Butcher? Coupon? Brigade discount? Yep. If you look at the comment at the very top of the comments, you'll see a link to the e-course. And if you just type in USA as you check out, you get 30% off. Or if first you go and join the Brigade, there's a link in the description for that. That'll cost you $10, but then you'll get 40% off. Corbin, I don't always study profiles, but when I do, I use the Pirates e-course. You know, I met that guy. I worked on a commercial with him it was like a Canadian cookie company, and he was one of the actors. That old Dos Equis guy. Oops, sorry about that. All right, so we're testing this resistance once again around the overnight high. Can they poke above? Looks like they want to. So the next question is, can they find support above that overnight high? All right, looks like they're going to use short covering and FOMO to go repair it. That's not good. Why? Because they'll need to bring it back down. Look at that thin volume. So this is their chance to pull back in and create some support in here. Targeting a move higher. All right, that is support. So if that can hold, if the overnight high can hold, the target is 60.30, a repair of the week K period high from yesterday. We got a big node of resistance right above that. But if we get through that, the next target is the J period, the week J period high at 38.17. So let's see if they can hold it. That would get me bullish, at least for that move. Not necessarily for the day, but at least for a quick pop. Yep, support. Okay, so I'm going to change the banner to say bullish, but again, please note this is only bullish for a push-up to repair the weak reference at 38.06. As long as we're inside yesterday's range, we could just keep chopping up and down. They can pull it right down out of nowhere. So let's see what happens when they repair that weak reference. Okay, there's the repair of the weak reference. Like I said, they're pushing right into this node of resistance from yesterday. So let's see if they get some support when they pull back down. Or if we go right back into chop mode. Okay, so remember, when they leave this much thin volume back here, they need to come back and backfill it. So don't FOMO in at the high, right in resistance. Be patient and wait for your opportunity. I always feel so terrible when I see all these FOMO buyers at the high. I know who they are. There was a point in time where that was me. All right, first low volume node backfilled. Resistance. Matthew. Oh, it's Canada Day today? Well, happy Canada Day. Douglas, will you put that in the chat to check on later? Yeah, it's up at the very top, the pinned comment from me. That's the link. Jay Trader, do you have fireworks? Yes, sir. Not me personally, but there'll be a lot. I got a friend here in New York City who said his neighbor just does it right out on the street in front of their building, so they just hang out on their rooftop. So I'll be enjoying a nice rooftop party this 4th of July. All right, well, they backfilled the first low volume node, and they started to backfill the second. But they didn't fully do it, which is kind of a when what shouldn't happen, or when what should happen doesn't. That is a little bit bullish. But I still think we need one more pullback to find some stronger support. Tom, having trouble logging into the site, just shoot me an email, and I'll help you out. Rob, can I give a quick review or sales pitch of the course? A sales pitch? No one ever asks for one of those. All right. Well, we are finding support at higher prices here. It still feels very weak. But at this point, if they stay above 38.06, they're heading up to repair the next week reference at 38.1750. But of course, they've still got a lot of resistance to work through. So I don't know if these buyers are strong enough or if we need to come back, fill this, and get some good support. Can they hold it? All right, that support is holding. We got some impatient buyers in the market today. But anyway, elevator pitch for the e-course is basically it just teaches you how to do what I do. I specifically designed it for people like me. I don't learn well from reading books. And I wouldn't learn well from like this type of context if I just heard somebody talking about it in the background. So I kind of designed the e-course to be the best way to absorb the information. It's bite-sized. Each subject is kind of on its own. So there's like, a lesson on single prints, a lesson on weak references, so on and so forth. And it's designed so you can just kind of watch it over and over again until you fully understand the concepts. It doesn't teach like trade setups, but it teaches how to read the market. It teaches how to understand what's happening with the two-way auction process. Who's winning, buyers or sellers? And that's all you need to have an edge. You just need the probabilities on your side. Dude, this FOMO is strong. At this point, if 38.0650 breaks, we're probably going to liquidate pretty quick because of all these weak hand buyers. So they got to hold it or they're going to get squeezed. All right, repairing the weak reference it is. This must be news related with that tempo change. Somebody just say something. It's the PMI. So obviously we've got terrible taper at the high. But because that was just based on that news release, I'm just going to consider it a fluke and not overthink it right now. So let's see if we get some support here. All right, that last low volume node is now backfilled. Little early morning murder bot going on. Dumb. All right, if this overnight high breaks, I am back to neutral. As that is what got me bullish. Why wouldn't it get you bearish, Charles? Well, because I think the highest probability for today is rotation, which means the momentum to the upside might be over for the moment. Yes, it is. But it doesn't mean we necessarily have to have a massive sell-off. We could just push right into support and chop around here. All right. Well, it's a little bit riskier this time around because now we've kind of lost that momentum that we had this morning. But if we can now find support around the overnight high once again, which is also the half back, we could look for it to move higher. But as long as we keep passing through it like this, chop. One little PMI number just messes everything up. The market was so excited. The FOMO buyers were in charge. They were going to take it to the moon. And now nobody knows what to do. When will short sentiment come into my view? At this point, if we get below the opening price and then get resistance there. So this big note of volume we have from the overnight right here. If we push back below there, come back up and find resistance, I will be looking to take the market lower to target the overnight low. But right now we're in chop zone. It's more likely it'll be support. CD, you got me. I'm a sucker for a discount code. Well, when you take the e-course, you'll understand why. It's all part of the auction process. It's just human nature. We can't resist a deal. The example I use in the course is like Labor Day weekend sales for mattresses. People that don't even need a new mattress will go out and spend a couple grand on one just because somebody on TV is like, come on down to Billy Bob's, 50% off this weekend only. But of course, the e-course you do need, and it will help you. Da-dum, 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 da-dum. Well, it would appear the momentum is reversing on us. All those longs getting out of their trades, and new FOMO sellers are going to pile on. I changed my mind. Earlier I said below the opening price I would get bearish. Actually, I'm now thinking it's the A period low. If we break that A period low, then I'm bearish. Just because of this support here. Coffee Addict, does your e-course come with the chart? No, the market profile you have to get on your own. Just Google it. There's lots of brokerages and stuff that offer it. There's lots of cheap options too. The course is just 4.5 hours of educational content. All right, I'm bearish. Jeez Louise, man. B period completely engulfing A. Clearly a change in sentiment. Now, do I think it's going to just fall like a brick? Of course not. I think we're going to have to grind down there. But they're building momentum to the downside now. Elliot, is it possible to get market profile on TradingView? No, they don't have it, but I bet you they're working on it. And I bet you as soon as it's ready, it'll be the prettiest one out there. Although that being said, their volume profile is kind of ugly. OM gosh, just closed my short. Don't worry about it, man. Wait till it pushes up into resistance and get back in. Don't let yourself get emotional. That's when your brain loses the ability to function at peak performance. So you got out of a short and it kept going. Cool. Now you know you want to re-enter. Screwball overnight low as a target now? Ugh. I don't have the confidence to say that, man. Like I said, first thing I said this morning was, I think rotation. So certainly it feels like we're heading down to test this node down here where we spent all this time in the overnight. But whether we get to the overnight low or we just friggin' chop around, I don't know. I would say if the way we head down is like a trend, if we push lower, push lower, build some volume, push lower, build some volume, then yeah, I could target that overnight low. But right now we're making good taper, back into resistance, good taper, back into resistance, and that could mean chop. Whoops. Supporty. Krister NQ not bearish? No, not really. Keep an eye on this little node right below the overnight low. If that starts to become resistance and they can't get back up into there, that would be a little bit bearish. But right now, this could just be rotation. They still have their initial balance to the upside. So yeah, as you push through this node right here on the opening, look for resistance when they come back up. 114.75, or sorry, 11.475. Trading Donkey, funny how you call those nodes support. Are you a market profile trader or volume profile trader? They're not the same thing. Yes, they are. Volume profile is part of market profile. Market profile is essentially volume profile trading with TPOs as well. And I'm quite confused how you're asking that question after following me every day for a year and a half. And me using volume as support and resistance every day for a year and a half. Tom, just shoot me an email. ahoy@piratetraders.io. All right, we're starting to get some new sellers down here. That's a little bit bearish. Good taper, though. Oh, okay. I'll get to it, Tom. Don't you worry, brother. I won't leave you out in the cold. I'm just busy, doing my thing right now, but I'll get you. All right. So that is the C period, which is the beginning of one time framing lower. So the market is now trending to the downside, which is bearish. We left behind these single prints in the B period. So we're looking for support at the base of the single prints. Resistance at the base of the single prints for continuation lower. And as long as the market continues to one time frame lower, we assume it's going to continue to go lower. As far as moving forward for the rest of the day, like I said, we got this big node where we spent a bunch of time in the overnight. It's also where we found support yesterday, early on in the morning, that kind of gave us that momentum up. So there's likely some support in here, and I think we're going to do some chopping around. But if they keep one time framing lower and they start to break that overnight low, you can look for continuation to the downside. And the target becomes filling the gap down to 37.12. So again, I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think we're going to find support and rotate. But if we break that overnight low, that is the target to the downside. 37.12. If you wanted to be super cautious, you could wait to break yesterday's low, come back up and find resistance, and then look for that trade. With that, I shall bid you all farewell. Have a great weekend. Enjoy your 4th of July. I won't be live Monday, but we'll be back on Tuesday. And I look forward to seeing you all then. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye-bye.